Ugh.
Boodle-doo.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's what they say.
We are apparently live.
They say, yeah.
That's
Are
what
we?
the internet's telling me.
I
Are
did
we?
see that.
Hmm.
The internet's wrong. And it
When's
must
the
be
last
changed.
time the internet was wrong?
Well,
Oh. Okay.
hello and welcome to episode 652 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, May 7th, 2019. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, from Canada, Mr. Greg Seward.
Hello.
You're wearing a Star Wars shirt on May the 5th. I'll have you know. It's not...
Yeah, it's the
Too little,
not a
too
good
late.
idea.
Revenge of the Fifth.
Too little, too late.
Oh, Revenge of the 5th. And he saves it.
Mm.
And joining me from the great state of Washington, Mr. Phil Theobald.
Nanu. There we go.
That's not.
Nanu.
That's how you do it.
Nanu.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I wanted to do the Spock hand thing, like I'm doing now.
The Vulcan.
Yeah, it's not Spock. It's Vulcan. Come on.
Okay,
yeah.
fine. The Vulcan hand
It's
thing.
that thing that Spock made up.
That's actually what the Vulcans called it.
The Vulcan hand thing?
Vulcan hand thing.
Yep.
And it was from watching, the Star Trek series and the movies, of course. And
So far, none of this story is surprising.
so I couldn't, as a child, being uncoordinated as I am, I couldn't do it. My hands, I couldn't do it. But what I did is I took some rubber bands, rubber banded my fingers together until I could do it without the rubber bands. That's sad.
You're a strange man.
Is that a sad story?
Johnston.
Just saying.
Can you do the Tim Burton penguin flippers where he's got the three and then the little pinky finger?
Yeah, I probably could. I could do that. Yeah. Yeah. So now I go to all the Star Wars conventions and I'm like, check this out. Look at that. Whoa.
It's called Celebration, and well, thank you for not bringing your Star Trek into it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, how you guys doing?
How did you spend Star Wars Day, CJ?
I spent Star Wars Day at Grandma's house. We went down to Savannah. To visit Charlotte's grandmother and great grandmother. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah. So I spent it partially in the car, and then yeah.
What's great grandmother's favorite Star Wars movie?
Oh, I think she's definitely an Attack of the Clones. No.
Okay. Bold choice, Grandma. Great grandma.
Wrong choice.
Wrong choice.
No. Let her have this.
Send in the clones.
Let her have it.
She really likes Masters of Terrascasi too.
Well, who wouldn't?
Really? Yeah.
Is her favorite scene the scene where Anakin goes riding on that giant potato to impress Natalie Portman?
Sure. Yeah. I still haven't seen The Last Jedi.
Really?
Not seen it.
Okay.
I saw it in theaters, and that was the last time I saw it. I'm not compelled to watch any of those new ones. I enjoyed them, but
I liked
I'm
The
not
Force
compelled to watch
Awakens.
them again.
It's
all right.
Yeah, it was good.
I mean, it was nowhere near the levels of bad that the prequels were, but
oh god.
But I don't know. It's just maybe it's just an age thing. Maybe
I've liked both of them.
Yeah.
So.
I liked
them as well. I'm not saying
rage.
I'm not saying they're bad at all. I liked both of them. I just
weren't turned
saying
off.
I'm not compelled to see them again.
You weren't turned off by the internet rage for the second one?
No.
Okay.
No, it's internet rage.
Internet rage. Speaking of internet rage.
Yeah.
Let's jump right into it, shall we? Sonic the Hedgehog. That's no.
Little Toot Toot Sonic Warrior.
Yeah. Well, we got a official
Toot Toot
movie
Sonic
trailer.
Warrior getting redesigned. Toot Toot Sonic Warrior.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sonic the Hedgehog movie. We got a trailer for it. It comes out in November.
We did.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we'll see now.
We'll see what happens now. But yeah, so we got the look at the trailer, and certainly a spectacle, you might say. Basically confirmed what everybody thought from the original pictures of the legs.
We thought he
right?
looked bad from the waist down.
We thought he looked bad from the waist down.
Then we
Turns
saw
out
the waist up.
the waist up is still pretty bad. So yeah, the movie trailer's out. I don't know. Looks like a Sonic movie.
Yeah.
I really had no reaction to it.
Does it look
I had
like a Sonic movie?
reaction to it. Like
How
I
does
watched
that-
it.
Really, you had no reaction to it?
I watched it,
don't
and my
believe that.
reaction was, "Okay, that's a thing that exists."
How does
I
that look
didn't-
like a Sonic movie to you?
I don't know.
Half the trailer was Jim Carrey mugging it up with some military guy.
And you know what? You know what the
Right.
thing is about that?
Just
Speaking
like in
as-
those Sonic games.
Speaking as a Sonic fan,
Uh-huh.
that was the thing I liked the most about the trailer.
Oh, really?
If you're just gonna point a camera at Jim Carrey and let him be Jim Carrey from like the 90s,
Uh-huh.
I'm all for it. Just do it.
Just got to give him the Ace Ventura,
Chew up the scenery.
Ace Ventura hairdo.
Because the reason why I say that is because that's going to be the only good thing about the movie.
Just
Right, it's not gonna be-
alrighty then.
Just not going to be James Marsden's
Just the Jim Carrey being
perfect
Jim
acting.
Carrey. Yeah.
Somebody stop vaccinating your children. Because that's what Jim
Anti-vaxxer?
Carrey. Huh?
Is he an
'Cause he's-
anti-vaxxer?
Oh,
Because he's married to Jenny
most-
McCarthy, right?
Well, he's not anymore.
No.
Not anymore.
I don't
He
even know
was.
if they were they ever married?
I don't know if they were married, but
I
they
don't
were-
know, but
they were a
yeah,
thing.
no, he's totally on that anti-vax thing. So
Oh, yeah.
So
So
if-
either way.
So
I'm still-
if you're gonna take your measles-ridden riddled
Jim Carrey
children,
is not anti-vaccine, he is anti-thimerosal and anti-mercury.
okay.
They have taken some of
So
the
he-
mercury-laden
so he-
thimerosal out of vaccines, but not all.
So he really hated Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
You'll be here all week.
No, but
So-
otherwise, I mean, I really, you didn't have any reaction to. I mean,
No.
my only. So, from the
My
standpoint
reaction
of,
was
is this
that
movie going
this
to be
is
any
a
good?
thing
I
that
knew it wasn't
exists
going to be any
now.
good, but you didn't have any reaction to that Sonic
No.
design at all. None at all.
No. Other
believe
than
you.
That's a
not
lie.
liking it.
Yeah,
Other
that's a
than
lie.
not liking it.
Other than the reaction I had.
The only
Other than
thing more,
having a
the
reaction.
only thing
We
more
had that
bold
reaction
faced than that
before, though,
lie
because-
was Sonic's face.
We got the style guide like a couple weeks ago. We knew what Sonic was going to look like.
Did we?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The fact that
Did you know he was going to
he's
have
got
human teeth?
the fact that he's got human teeth, I really couldn't care less because I'm not going to see the movie. So
Yes,
That's
you
a lie.
are.
That's a lie. That is a
I'm not
lie.
gonna- I doubt I'll see it.
Now it's I
We're gonna,
doubt.
by the end
I
of the
doubt
show,
I'll
it'll be
see
like
it.
I'm only going to see it on
Yeah.
opening week, not opening.
I'm
night.
not really. I haven't been a video game movie type person. I still have never seen any of the Tomb Raider movies, and it took me forever to see the Super Mario Brothers live action movie. And I hadn't seen the
You were like
Wizard
6.
until very recently.
You didn't
So,
have any control over how quickly
I
you
know,
saw the
right?
Mario Brothers movie. Let's be honest.
I had plenty of control over that. Plenty of control.
My mom let me go out whenever I wanted.
I didn't see the Street Fighter 2 live action movie until it came out on DVD, and I believe we watched it together, Phil. That was
First
like
of
the
all-
first time I watched it.
First of all,
Was
there's
together
no
with Phil.
Street Fighter 2 live action movie. It's just Street Fighter.
Street Fighter the movie. Okay,
But it contains
fine.
characters that were introduced in Street Fighter 2. How'd that
That's
work?
not my concern.
I don't know.
What were they going to call the movie? Street Fighter 2? And then everyone else is wondering where the first one is?
Exactly, just like Goonies.
Yes, just like what?
No, Goonies 2. You know the game? There was no anyway.
There's
Just like
Uh,
Maroon 5. Where are the
there-
first 4 Maroons?
there absolutely was a Goonies video game. What are you talking about?
Oh, fine. Anyway, so
Ah.
Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie trailer, it's a thing. Go watch that if you haven't already. And then, of course,
How could
the
you
internet,
miss it?
the internet reacted to the design with plenty of memes and whatnot. And now the director says they'll change the design, and it's so funny to read that tweet because it wasn't the backlash from the legs, it wasn't the backlash from the style guide coming out.
Right.
It wasn't the reactions from like Sonic Team that were made publicly on Twitter to this stuff. No. This is a reaction to the trailer. Okay, now that the trailer's out and nobody likes it, now we'll make some changes. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if based on the reactions previous to that, though, if they hadn't maybe
Oh,
started
they had
to
to
hedge their bets a little bit and start,
hedge,
yeah, hi,
hedge,
like,
hedge.
internet high five.
Nope.
Ah.
Absolutely not.
But I wonder if that wasn't the case anyway, because
Yeah.
there was such a strong reaction to just seeing those creepy ass naked blue legs,
Yeah.
like naked blue man legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks like a guy in a suit.
It really
looks
does.
so bad.
It's unnerving at best.
It looks bad.
And now, of course, you have the sort of backlash to the backlash.
Yes,
where everyone's getting concerned for the poor animators
who will have to crunch,
which is
totally true. I mean,
of course,
you've read so many articles about how the Hollywood just mistreats the animation and CG animation groups.
Yeah,
it's
so
gross.
they're going
Internet,
to be
because of your backlash. You've caused this crunch.
Yeah,
but also want to point out that everyone's treating this like some kind of special case, and I don't know that that's really fair, because it's based on an internet backlash, but I mean, almost every movie gets test screened. And how many times have you heard of massive reshoots for a movie? It's along the same lines.
That happens all the time.
This isn't the internet being a bunch of babies. They do test marketing on these things.
Where it seems odd is that
the internet are a bunch of babies
this far, and
well, that's the thing.
Here's where we are.
You know, it's kind of one thing to do reshoots, but it's sort of another, because it's like, okay, for reshoots, you're getting the actors back for a scene or a handful of scenes that you need to either to fix something. But this is the main character of the movie that they are having to completely rework and remodel.
There's going to be a lot of shots of Sonic speaking where he's not facing the camera.
This is kind of like if
it's like Brandon Lee and the Crow.
if they had filmed the entirety of Back to the Future with Eric Stoltz,
sure,
and then decided
the trailer comes out,
and then
nobody likes Eric Stoltz.
Oh, we should have gotten that Fox kid in, and then reshot every scene with Marty in it.
But see, again, I'm curious, because I'm assuming they used motion capture for all of it.
Right.
Sure.
They've got that data.
Right.
So if it's as simple as
it's a button.
No, it's not a button.
Control C, Control C, Control V.
If it's as simple, if it's remodeling the character and it's rigged the same and it uses the same data.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not a lot of work, but I don't think it's as much work as you're saying it is. And I mean, you're saying reshoots are simple, but I mean, that's not simple either.
I didn't say reshoots are simple.
Okay, but it's not the actors coming back for an hour or two. I mean, it's rewrites.
I didn't say that either.
And we're not talking about reshoots here. We're talking about slotting in this new computer animated character. It's not like you're bringing somebody back in to do a full performance again.
Right.
So it's rendering a new character, and if you're smart, you're rendering that character to use the same rig that you used already, and the same data that you used already, with the same performance that you used already.
Assuming that rig still works with the new character's proportions.
Well, that's what I just said. If you're smart, it does.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm not saying
these are who's coming from the people who animated this Sonic. Wow. No, I kid. I
don't know.
Here's the other thing about that. So it's not, I mean, it's not just the movie, right? Because obviously there are a lot of ancillary things around the film that have to be redone or whatever.
Well,
there are toys. They would have
all
to be
all the merchandising
remodeled. All the merchandising has to be redone.
I mean, those any action figures for Sonic were probably sculpted
months ago.
Yeah. They're probably well into being manufactured at this point.
And and whoever owns the rights to those probably has something in a contract somewhere that says, if you guys change something, you are going to owe us big time.
Right.
I mean, it's hurting the studio.
Yeah.
Whoever gets the license that, it might be hurting Sega.
Yeah.
But in those situations, I feel a little less bad, because I don't think anyone's crunching to resculpt these things and remanufacture them.
Wow. Are you sure about that? I hope they're not.
All I know is this. It's clearly very, very difficult to take a video game that's kind of full of these cartoon style characters and translate them into live action in a way where it seems to have gotten universal praise, and any company that could do that,
oh my god,
any sort of internet detective
clearly knows what they're doing, clearly is skilled and talented beyond belief. And I don't know what you guys are doing next Friday.
Or just took the original designs and copied them.
I mean, it doesn't take a Ryan Reynolds to know what a good video game character.
Yeah. What are we talking about? Deadpool?
Yeah, everyone's favorite.
Green Lantern. Right. We're talking about Green Lantern.
We absolutely are.
No, but I mean, not saying that this is or isn't warranted backlash, because obviously the design looks horrific.
Let's not waffle on that. It's warranted. The design looks terrible.
It's warranted. But I mean,
Whether they
do remember
on it is up to them. But
I do remember, of course, the backlash about Zelda, right? Like the Zelda Wind Waker look.
Mm-hmm.
That was a large backlash. People hated that look.
But then that came out and it was largely beloved.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Sonic design, that's where that was going to go?
No, I'm not. I'm not advocating for the Sonic design, but I am saying, I don't even know what I'm saying.
Neither do we.
I'm saying with Wind Waker,
I
wanted people to give it a shot, give it a go. And you look back at that game, I think that turned out for the best. Where was this backlash during the Michael Bay Transformers era? This one.
Oh, it happened.
I mean, it happened, but they didn't change anything.
But and that's I think that's the real thing here. Is like it's not like this is a new thing. And I one of the things that I really didn't like this week was about like the people saying, "Oh, you don't have the right to be upset about this," or congratulations, internet, you just forced a bunch of people to do a bunch of crunch. No, you didn't. It's a piece of art that was put out there. It's going to get criticized. You don't have to like it because somebody worked hard on it. I'm sorry. I worked really hard on a couple of games that were released that were absolute crap. Nobody owed me anything. And as far as any crunch that's worked, blame it on the people who approved that design in the first place, and blame it on the people who decided that they were going to listen to the backlash and make changes. They're the people causing that problem, not the people who were sitting there saying this is shit. It's shit. You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to voice that opinion. And I don't think you're being unreasonable. In this case, you're not being unreasonable.
No.
So,
and here's the difference between this and Transformers.
What?
Michael Bay doesn't give a shit.
It was exactly. And that's fine. You know
what? That's what it is.
Go for it.
That's really what it is.
Same thing with the Turtles. The new Turtles in those new Turtles movies.
Oh, yeah.
Which I have not watched. I can't bring myself to watch them because I can't. I'm so sick of anything that Michael Bay touches at this point.
Yeah.
But hey, that's my opinion. I'll voice that opinion. He chooses not to act on those opinions. Good for him.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Alrighty. Alrighty. Well, I guess we're not quite done with internet backlash. Let's start this off by saying that Epic Games has bought Psyonix, who, of course, is the developer of Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means Epic owns Psyonix, and of course that means that users review bombed Rocket League on Steam, because that's the thing that happens now. And Steam actually implemented an anti-review bombing thing a couple of months ago. A couple of months ago, before the Epic Game Store showed up, which is just great timing, really. So even though it got review bombed, the algorithm that Steam uses is not counting the 1-star reviews or the negative reviews that got uploaded after the point that Epic and Psyonix announced their partnership. So, yeah. I mean, the way I look at this is, Epic's making a ton of money off of Fortnite. Of course, they're gonna want to buy up studios and buy up titles that are popular and only make their catalog of successes larger, right? Is that is it bad?
Yeah.
I mean, EA's been doing it for years.
Yeah. I mean, without John Madden Football, would we have Dead Space? Would we have the other games that you love, right? Like, to a certain extent, like one hit oftentimes.
Quick, name another.
Name another one.
Like
FIFA,
Dead
FIFA
Space
Soccer. FIFA Soccer.
or all those
FIFA,
other
yeah,
games
FIFA.
you enjoy.
All those other
Zany Golf
Burnout.
for one.
Yeah. Apex Legends, that's EA.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But I mean, these kinds of things happen. And Rocket League, nothing is changing with the game on Steam. Psyonix has said they're
not
going
taking it off Steam.
So they've said that they will continue to support the Steam version and people who bought it on Steam even after the acquisition and whatnot. So you bought it on Steam.
But are they going to remove? I mean, it'll continue getting updates, but will you suddenly not be able to buy it on Steam anymore?
I don't believe they've said, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it left.
Well, I mean, they
left
should.
Steam at a certain point.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, Fortnite's not on Steam.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. Support the people who own it through Steam, and just make sure that you're driving everyone else to the Epic Store.
Yeah.
Simple.
People don't like the Epic Store, though.
It's terrible.
I mean, I guess part of it
don't buy anything from there.
I'm looking at the games page. I'm looking at Rocket League's page on Steam, looking at the reviews. I'm seeing quite a few positive reviews, recommended reviews, but the review text is just like the ASCII drawings of two middle fingers with the word Epic Store in there.
Yeah.
Someone just posted a negative review. The negative review just says thanks Epic, but he has logged over 100 hours in the game, which there
are people who
seems like a lot for a negative review.
There's one who logged over 1,000 hours in the game. I think this is in the PC Gamer story that I linked to, or that I'll link to in the show notes. But saying sold out.
Yeah.
It's
here's a guy with about 900 hours who just posted a negative review, and adds the caveat: a lot of reviews regarding this are bound to be flagged abusive and called
like this
review bombing, but that is not what this is.
No, of course not.
Yeah. After 900 hours, you were suddenly compelled to post a negative review. Yeah.
And I guess this is something that, as a console gamer, you deal with things like exclusives on platforms all the time. So to somebody like me, who's not really a huge PC guy, it doesn't really matter to me now which launcher a game.
Well, that's I wouldn't even compare it to platform exclusivity because you have a PC. You can still a PC. Play it.
It's still a PC, right?
You just instead of clicking the Steam icon that's sitting on your desktop, you click the Epic Store icon that's on your desktop.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
I mean, for years, it was like, who is going to challenge Steam? Like, is there ever going to be somebody to challenge Steam? And now there is, but it's getting a lot of backlash. And
now that I have a second icon I have to click, monopolies maybe aren't that bad.
Except you can add any game you want to Steam to launch it. You can use Steam as a universal launcher, just like you can use Discord as a universal launcher. Like, you can do these things on the PC. Like, it just doesn't. Like,
Internet man.
I guess, I don't really understand it.
Yeah.
Aside from people want to shop where they want to shop, and I get that to an extent. And Steam has oftentimes a lot of sales where people buy games for super cheap, and the Epic Game Store hasn't really had that yet. But then again, that store is only 5 months old, 6 months old at this point. Like, it's not really time to start freaking out quite yet.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I think what Epic's doing is very interesting. Let's fast forward a year, see where things are. Like I think some of the internet thinks if they complain loudly enough, the Epic Game Store will just go away. And I'm not sure if that'll be
It worked for
Sonic movie.
Yeah, worked for Sonic.
I guess it worked. Yeah, it worked for Sonic, right? But anyway, I guess we'll see. I have downloaded a bunch of free games on the Epic Game Store. I don't think I bought anything there yet, but I do have some games on there. Anyway, let's talk about Intellivision doing a new Earthworm Jim game exclusive to their new platform, developed by the original team.
Ray,
I want to play a new Earthworm Jim. Developed by the team that made the good Earthworm Jim games.
Yeah.
I'm not buying an Intellivision Amico to do it.
No.
I think I'll just probably review bomb this until it comes out on other consoles.
There you go.
That'll work. I mean, hey, sometimes it does work. Sonic the Hedgehog movie done.
Yeah.
I mean, the Amico, which is their upcoming game console, is still a couple years away, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think so.
I mean, I probably.
It's launching October 10th, 2020, so it's more than a year away. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, a new Earthworm Jim game. Let's see what happens.
You know what? I'm not terribly interested in giving Doug Tendapel any money, so that's fine.
But isn't one of the selling points of the Intellivision Amico that the games are going to be super cheap?
I'm not interested in giving Doug Tendapel any money. So
money? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So have fun with that, I guess.
So you're saying you're gonna pirate the game?
Are you saying you're gonna review bomb the game until it's released for free?
No, I'm just not gonna care.
Okay. Okay.
Because I don't care about the Intellivision. I don't care about Doug Tendapel. I don't care about wanting to play games with that stupid little disc.
Yeah, I don't get. Yeah.
There's
an
a whole lot
idea,
of.
But
is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess good for Tommy for getting the group of people that he used to work with back together to support his console.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know enough about the console, or not enough has been said about the console to make me want one.
No.
Yeah.
I'm still interested in how this
their original pitch was all about family-friendly entertainment for reasonable prices. And if you look at the fact that video game consoles now start at over $200 for the most part, like a new console, they what they're trying to sell sort of makes sense. Like maybe there's a gap in the market there, but I just don't know that they're going to be able to fill it.
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, who knows? We need way more information on this thing.
Yes.
Hey, reviving Earthworm Jim, that could be great. And if that's sort of a taste of what's to come, I'll pay more attention than I have been. I mean, I know that's kind of the whole thing, the reimagined Atari classics and television classics and all that stuff. But reimagined always worries me a little bit because, I mean, a lot of the games we're talking about are so old that the reimagining is going to be a completely different game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They were reimagined versions of Centipede on the PlayStation 1.
Was Earthworm Jim ever good?
Earthworm Jim was great.
Earthworm Jim had a lot of amusing humor. It had wonderful animation.
Yes.
It had kind of floaty, sloppy controls, and kind
It
of
had Dave Perry controls.
Kind of
Kinda-
bad hit detection.
kind of bad hit detection, kind of not
What?
great level design.
Yeah,
you're
I agree with
completely-
that.
You're
I agree
completely
with that.
crazy.
Let me see. Can I jump on this platform or not? I'll jump. Oh, that's not a platform. I'm falling into a pit.
A lot of stuff like that. Yeah.
You guys are just bad at video games.
I mean, I'll cop to that. Sure. Yeah. But
I mean, when you look at I'm on their website, and one thing that I will say, the only other reason why I've been paying attention to this at all is the people that they have attached to this are
Absolutely.
pretty impressive.
they've got fantastic folks from
Like Micah's attached to
yeah.
it, and,
Yeah.
and Perrin Kaplan, and
Yep.
and it was Beth Llewellyn, I think, and
Yeah.
Yep.
Great people.
Dave
Great
Perry.
people.
So, yeah, I want to be more interested in it, but I'm not yet. and I really liked Earthworm Jim back in the day, but Earthworm Jim is not the game to make me go, oh my god, I need a television.
Right.
It would Earthworm Jim doesn't. It's not a system seller for me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
even the Doug Tenaple stuff notwithstanding,
I agree with that.
System seller, even if that wasn't the case. So
Yeah.
All right. Should we get on to what we've been playing? I think we've been talking about internet outrage.
mostly
for way too
Earthworm
long.
Jim.
I've been playing Amacrog
Amacrog.
or whatever that
game was disappointing.
that that was Doug Tendapel's Kickstarter game.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unplayable when it came out.
Well,
Greg, you want to kick us off?
Speaking of old adventure games,
Ah,
I finished a bunch of sequels this week
good job.
from back in around 87. Actually, all of them were right around the
Jeez.
same time.
Very
You know,
nice.
you know what I can't wait for is the live action Leisure Suit Larry movie that will no doubt be made after the Sonic movie.
They've made thousands of live action Leisure Suit Larry movies.
Have they really?
Called that? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you need some links, or
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't share them in the show notes?
Okay.
Yeah, Leisure Suit Larry 2. Finished. Leisure Suit Larry goes looking for love in several wrong places.
Yep.
You want to talk about humor that's not okay today. Wow. There's a lot of stuff in that game. And so the reason I've been playing this is because on Twitch, I stream 3 nights a week on Twitch to raise money for Extra Life. And on Monday nights I've been doing adventure games. I'm kind of going chronologically. So Leisure Suit Larry was the latest one. And so I generally play through them. And so I'm sitting there, and of course these are text-based adventures. This is before we had digital speech in these games. So I'm reading these things out. And let me tell you, it's embarrassing to read out some of Al Lowe's jokes.
Yeah.
Are you doing voices?
No,
characters?
I'm not. I don't go that far.
Boo.
No. I'm not you. I should get you on there, and you should.
Yeah,
do that
see?
for me. But yeah, I mean, it's still a really good game, and it's actually kind of cool because I'm into this sort of era now. The 1987-88 era for Sierra was when their games sort of moved into kind of the third generation as far as their adventure game engine and everything went. So everything looks a little bit nicer now. It sounds a lot better. Like there's actual real music. There's always been music, but the music sounds good as opposed to the single PC speaker tones that you would have. But yeah, I mean, this one got way more risque than the first one. And the funny thing is too, is that Larry is not just this one actually has a story. It's almost like very much a James Bond type game where Larry just tries to score along the way. So he's working for the greater good while still trying to get laid. Yeah. So good for him. So it is a James Bond story, really.
Isn't that humanity's story, really?
Yeah. Not all of our story.
I mean,
isn't that basically the plot line of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Well, it was until the internet screwed it up.
From the trailer, it seemed pretty obvious.
But anyway, yeah, I played through that. So and yeah, there were I mean, I still found them funny, don't get me wrong, but there were a few moments where, because I'm just reading it as it comes on screen. I'm not really checking ahead before I
Right.
say anything. And there were a few moments was like, oh, okay. Oh
can't
my
read
God,
the
that I
next
shouldn't
word.
have. I shouldn't have read
Jeez,
that.
maybe I should ask my children to leave the room.
Yeah, no, I never play with them in the room. But anyway, yeah, classic Allo. And also things that were way more acceptable for better or for worse.
Right.
Mostly for worse.
Yeah.
In 1988,
Right, right.
you would never ever see now.
Right.
The other
I don't know.
game,
There was that new Larry game quite recently.
oh, those are
Sure.
terrible. God, those are terrible.
Have you played that new one
No.
that just came out?
No, I can't. No,
I mean, it's got to be
Apparently,
bad, right?
apparently, it's coming to consoles. In
Magna
the summer.
Cum Laude was the last one I think I played.
Okay, because there
And
was
it was terrible.
Oh, it was shockingly bad.
Yeah,
But
and I just assume this one's the same.
And we should stress that Allo had nothing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
Larry's creator has. What's
I did play. Was it called Leisure Suit Larry Comes Again?
Which one?
It was basically the remake that was kickstarted.
Oh yeah, the Kickstarter one.
I did play that. That was awesome.
Yes. Yeah,
I
because
really
that's just
enjoyed that.
that's just a
remake, I
remake of
think.
the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So otherwise, I finished Zelda 2 this week.
Nice.
The adventure.
Adventure of Link.
Adventure or adventures?
I think it's
of Link?
Adventure of Link.
I think it's Adventure of Link. Yeah.
Okay. Singular.
Singular. Yeah.
Single
It's one
singular adventure.
Okay.
It's one big, long, frustrating adventure.
Right.
So, that game's not nearly as hard as people think it is. In this, that isn't me saying get good.
Sure,
That's
it
me
is.
saying no. The problem with it is that the difficulty level
Spikes.
ramps up faster
So
than
fast.
it should.
Yeah.
Faster
So
than it
fast.
should. But it does level out
Yeah.
pretty quickly too. Like it spikes, but then I shouldn't even say it doesn't spike. It ramps up, and then
Right.
it kind of levels out right there.
Because you start
And-
off very underpowered.
You do start off really underpowered, and that's the problem.
Kid Icarus has the same problem.
Yeah.
Where by the end of Kid
Yeah.
Icarus, I mean, Kid Icarus has issues with like the control and stuff like that anyway. But, once you get powered up in Kid Icarus, it stops being
Right.
as
Yeah, I remember
difficult. And
because Kid Icarus starts with a tiny life bar.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Mhm.
remember that. Yeah, and it's frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with Zelda 2. But I mean, I still maintain that as for a side-scrolling action game from like 1987 on the NES, the combat in that game is really good.
Yeah.
If only because you have control over your shield.
Mm.
And sort of the ducking and standing with your shield. There's some really great moments for combat in that game. And then, of course, when you add in the downward thrust later in the
Mhm.
game, again,
Yeah.
you
Wow.
don't get it till much
Of
later.
course.
Are we still
Yeah,
talking about
run
Legion
that
2
down.
Yeah,
Larry?
we're still talking about Zelda.
Oh, okay.
Come on. When you add that in as well, the combat's really good in that
Yeah.
game, and it's a shame because you're right. It does the difficulty ramps up way too quick. You're underpowered, and that's I think why everyone stops playing it.
Yeah.
And I think it's given it sort of an unfair reputation as not a good game. That along with the fact that it's so completely different from any other Zelda game,
Right.
Yeah.
doesn't help it.
But you
But-
know what though? At the time, it
wasn't.
No.
Exactly. It was just the sequel.
At the time, it was a sequel, and quite frankly, video games at that time had wildly different sequels.
Well,
What we thought was Mario 2
Yep.
was a completely other game than
Castlevania 2.
Yeah, same deal.
Exactly.
So
So, anyway, I've been playing through it and I finished it and I still really enjoy that game. It's got its moments and
Mhm.
it is difficult at times, but it's not as hard as people think it is.
No.
It's just a matter of you've got to sort of stick through it. And I'm not talking hours of grinding because the game is 6 hours long
yeah.
total. And
Yeah.
that's even with me. When I went to finish it this week, I actually was like, all right, I'm going to the Great Palace, which by the way, the walk to the Great Palace, which is the final palace in the game. It's tough. It's probably hard. It's actually harder than the final level. It's a sort of a bit of a, like, I don't know if I'm going to make this. I got there. And when you go to the Great Palace in the game, you need to have placed the 6 gems that you're carrying with you in the statues in the 6 other palaces in the world. And then when you get there, there's a giant barrier that if you were to walk into it, it kills you. But if you walk toward it after you've placed those 6 gems, it disappears. So I get to, and I'm playing this like every 2 weeks because I'm streaming it on Tuesdays. And I get to the Great Palace. I walk toward that barrier, waiting for it to disappear, assuming it's going to disappear because I've placed all 6 gems, and it doesn't disappear. And I just walk into it and die. I'm like, what the hell happened? I had apparently on a previous stream not completed one of the palaces.
Oops.
I got the item, which meant it gave me access to the rest of the world because there's one section where there's a monster blocking the path, and you have to get a flute, I think, and play it for him, and he disappears. So I'd gotten that item, but I hadn't actually beaten that palace. So my point being is that it was 6 hours, and that includes me backtracking to that palace, going through the whole thing again, destroying the boss, and then coming back and finishing the game. So it's not a very long game. But yeah, anyway, just saying you should try it. If give that game a shot. If you're at all curious about it, don't let the whole it's way too difficult thing keep you from trying it, especially now where it's on Nintendo Online, right?
Well, and there's the SP version where it starts you off.
And there's also the SP version, which
Greg,
is basically New Game Plus.
I've already finished that game. I've played it. I've taken your advice.
There you go.
It's good.
Thank you.
I don't know why you're harping on me about this.
I wasn't talking to you.
Disagree.
Whoa.
Oh, CJ.
The difficulty ramp turned me off.
CJ's kept its stupid mouth shut.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And then speaking of weird sequels, I actually finished Simon's Quest this week as well.
Ah, there it is.
Nice.
Again, unfairly called a bad game. Not a bad game. Terrible translation.
Yeah.
Terrible translation. Game's actually pretty easy. That game's not difficult at all. And that's not me, tooting my own horn or anything. It's really not difficult.
I've seen you try to toot your own horn.
I know.
Before.
I can't.
It's like you get
nearly broke my neck.
You get about 3/4 of the way, and then it's like you got to give up.
We've seen your video game skill on stream many times, and we know.
If I can finish it, it's not difficult. But confusing as hell because the English translation was so completely mangled when it came out.
Right.
Which apparently there's a patch or a hacked ROM floating around that has the actual proper English translation, which makes things a lot easier. Just because there's a few different moments in that game where, this is a dead end, but if you have this particular item and you kneel here for like 5 seconds, you'll get warped to where you need to go. That sort of thing. So, again, it's like a 4 or 5 hour long game. And really, when you play it now in this post sort of Symphony of the Night world where like the Egavanias took over, right? And then all those subsequent portable versions that were all basically Metroid games. Again, this is pretty much a prototype for what Castlevania became.
Yeah,
very much. So it's kind of cool in a way to see that they were thinking along those lines with this franchise even back then. It didn't take right away.
Sure,
but it did eventually. So
right.
And then the only other thing that I've been playing this week that I've really started to get into now that I've put like 5 or 6 hours into it, Dragon Quest XI, which I know is coming out for Switch. Is it coming out in North America this year?
I believe so.
Pick that up, man. If you even have a passing interest in Japanese RPGs, wow, game is gorgeous.
It really is.
And it's just a pleasure to play. Like, the world feels massive. The battle system I love. I'm just really, really enjoying it. I could put it down this weekend. I just sort of dropped it in again because I hadn't touched it in a while. But I hadn't even gotten through the prologue. So that's how far I was.
Oh, okay.
And the prologue's a few hours, I think. But I did finally. And I mean, every moment of it was just getting better and better and better. So, yeah, I know that people are probably waiting on the Switch version, but definitely jump on that because you're not going to be disappointed especially if you're like me and you're a fan of sort of older style JRPGs.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely going to be for you. So that's what I've been playing.
Nice.
Alrighty. Phil, what do you got?
Well, last week, you may recall, I was talking about the Kunio-kun collection
Yes.
that came out a couple months ago for the Switch in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I broke down and bought it.
Nice.
I have gone as far as creating a Japanese account on my system.
Yeah, there you go.
But I haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Well, keep it going. You can do it. I believe in you. Yeah, I bought it digitally, which means you do have to get some Japanese eShop cards, unless you are able to finagle a way for your credit card to work on a Japanese account, which I was not.
Not so much.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I just tracked down online some Japanese eShop cards and picked it up. It's when I bought it, I'm assuming it still is on sale. It's on sale for 4,000 yen,
which is
a
approximately
little less than $40.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little less than $40, I believe. And yeah, I'm glad I picked it up. With the physical cartridge, even when I was in Japan, was selling for probably like $55 to $60 US.
Wow.
So it's fair discount to get that eShop version. Plus, I mean, it's a collection of Famicom and NES games, so it's the kind of thing I just want to have.
Yeah,
digital on my system anyway. I'm not gonna bother going over to my shelf and getting the little chip down to play River City Ransom or something.
Right.
But it's great to have that always there.
I think for me right now, the only thing holding me back from because I do want these, but I think the two things I'm most interested in right now are River City Ransom and Double Dragon.
Right.
And those are both on Nintendo Online.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of why I was like that close, and then
Right.
like I don't know. And is Dodgeball on?
Yep, Super Dodgeball's on there.
But is it on Nintendo Online as well?
Ooh,
I want to say
possibly. It might actually be.
I think it is.
Might actually be.
Yeah, I'm waffling on it now.
Yeah. But yeah, it has all the the dozen or so Kunio-kun games that came out in Japan for the Famicom. It has most of the games in that series that were ported to the NES. So your River City Ransom, your Dodgeball, Renegade was a Kunio-kun game just with completely reworked graphics.
So the version that you play on this set doesn't look like what we got here?
Well, because it has the Japanese version of Rampage, or not Rampage, but Renegade, which I forget the full title, but it's a Kunio-kun game. So the characters they're not like kind of the short, squat look that we've seen in like River City Ransom. They are, because Renegade has taller, more kind of human proportioned characters, but they are the Kunio-kun characters. So they're wearing like the school uniforms and they have the pompadours and stuff. And then when they released that, when they brought that to the West, they were like, well, nobody knows, nobody in the US knows what the tropes of a Japanese high school delinquent is. So they changed it to just like street punks.
Oh, okay.
So you have the original Kunio-kun version on there, and you have the Renegade version with the punks. And then they threw in the NES versions of the 3 Double Dragon games as well. So you have all because they're not Kunio-kun games, but they are sort of tangentially related. So, so it's nice to have a one nice collection for it. It actually is kind of neat too if you are playing it on a system that is set to English as the default language. Like the menus and stuff are all in English, and like when you are selecting your game, you can hit a little button to it'll bring up a wall of text sort of talking about the plot of the game or whatever. That'll all be in English.
Huh.
The Famicom games, those aren't translated into English, but everything surrounding the game itself is in probably whatever language you have set as your default, which is nice. It's a really nice, the interface for it is ripped straight off of the NES Classic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, like the game selection screen looks like the NES Classic.
Huh.
Like it even has like the 4 save slots that you can have for each of them and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's pretty nice. I'm glad I picked it up just for having a bunch of Famicom and NES games at my disposal. What else have I been playing this week? I bought another Switch game this week. They released a game called Impossible Mission.
The old Impossible Mission?
The old Impossible Mission. It's a Epix.
The only thing I remember about that game was the scream when you fell off the screen. Yeah. And it was alarming the first time it happened. And it sounded really good. I remember it sounding impressive.
Yeah, because that game has a few speech samples. You get when you start the game up, because I played the hell out of this game on the Commodore 64.
Okay, I only ever played the NES version.
Okay. And there was when you start the game off, there's a relatively famous digitized voice sample of the bad guy in the game. So just say, another visitor, stay a while, stay forever. That kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
And it was a great game. Just a fantastic little sort of what kind of a Metroid style game, because you have this giant map and you're taking elevators in between different rooms. The rooms are all connected, and it's one giant map, and you're going through and you're dodging enemy robots and trying to uncover puzzle pieces to solve an actual like physical like jigsaw puzzle kind of thing to tell you where you have to go and stuff like that. Love that game back in the day. And it just came out on the Switch, and it is it has like the classic version, the old kind of Commodore 64 style graphics, but then there's a updated version with nicer graphics. I mean, they're not,
nicer question mark graphics.
Well, and you know what's really weird about this is this game is actually it's a port, but it's not a port of an old like mid 80s Commodore 64 game. It's a port of a game that was released years ago on the Wii.
Okay.
Really?
On the original Wii. And I believe it came out on the DS as well. I don't even think it was a 3DS. I think it was just a DS game. Yeah, some little company whose name I do not know and do not remember.
And by the way, the same company released James Pond 3 on the
what
eShop
the hell
earlier this week.
About? James Pond 3 RoboCod came out.
First of all, that's James Pond 2.
Whatever.
Code name RoboCod. Yeah. So
I saw that. Sorry, I saw that on the shop, and all I could think of was like, why is no one talking about this?
because it's James Pond.
But that's what I mean. Like the last thing I think I was less surprised about Panty Party being on Switch than I was about seeing RoboCod on the eShop.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's weird, and it's weird that they're releasing an old Wii game that I own. I did, it was not a widely released game. It was, some budget shovelware kind of thing, but I tracked it down just because it's Impossible Mission. So I have that nostalgia for it.
Yep.
But it's like, why are you releasing that? Who besides me is going to buy that game? Nobody. I can't imagine anybody. So you're welcome for that $15 or whatever I paid for it. Mysterious company whose name I do not know, but I'm sure you're listening.
Right.
So so I picked that up, which is, it's weird. I also played. I busted this out. You may, if you're looking at the YouTube, you may recognize this. This is the Labo VR goggles.
Yeah.
I busted out Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild to
Okay.
try out the VR modes in there.
I tried the one out for Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Wasn't that impressed by
Well,
it.
it's your
It's just camera control.
Yeah, your head's controlling the camera.
Yeah.
Is what it amounts
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're running around and you can look all around and it moves the because it's not even like Link remains stationary and you can just I'm in Hyrule. You are physically moving the camera around.
Yeah, you're swinging the camera around him.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you know what? I've talked about this on the show before where I don't really get motion sick with VR. I was starting to in the Zelda.
Really?
And I don't know if it is the fact that my head was controlling the camera or if it's
You're just not used to that much physical activity. Is that the?
Well, I mean, I was swiveling in my chair, and
I know
that's a lot of work.
It's harder than it looks.
I mean, yeah, and it's not a swivel chair, so it's a lot of this heavy wooden chair across a bare wood floor. So just
what is
scrapes. Bare wood is okay. Let me.
I'm
gonna
regret this.
I got some. I got some Yogi / Boo Boo fan art that I'm going to send you. You will learn what bare wood is.
Okay.
Oh my.
Hey. I got something for your picnic basket, Boo Boo.
So wrong.
His wiener.
Get it.
So. What were we talking about?
We're talking about Labo
moving
VR.
the camera. So yeah, it's a lot of I was getting a little sick, and again, I don't know if it's the camera, the fact that I am controlling the camera and not just sort of I'm in the middle of this world.
Sure.
I don't know if it was because the resolution is certainly lower than what you would see on like the PlayStation VR or something like that. So I don't know if it was that. But I was playing for a little bit and I was kind of getting a little I'm feeling a little weird. So I put that down and then I played the Mario one. And the Mario VR mode it's a completely separate mode. It's like a little kind of mini game sort of thing. And you have a couple different levels. And they're like little arenas, little 3D arenas, and you're sort of plopped in the center of them. And you are it's kind of like Astrobot in that you are sort of sitting there serving as the camera, the POV of this 3D world, and then you move the character all around you, and you can move your head to sort of keep track of where the character is in this 3D arena. Unlike Astrobot, because Astrobot, of course, is on it's on a rail.
Right.
The levels have depth to them. So as you walk off into the distance, you start sort of hovering behind the character to keep up with him. Mario does not do that. You are in one big arena and there's activities and puzzles and things to do within that arena, but you aren't following Mario. So if you run Mario off into the distance, he gets very tiny and you're just kind of controlling him from there. And the gimmick of the levels is you're supposed to find, I think there's 3 levels, 3 little arenas, and you are trying to discover the hidden band members in each of these arenas. And you do that by solving a little puzzle that'll activate some music notes. And if you collect all the music notes, you earn an instrument, which you then give to the musician. And now they're in your party. That kind of thing. So I cleared the first of those 3 arenas, and it was cute.
Hmm.
You know, it's cute. I would be very interested in seeing a sort of proper Mario VR game, you know,
Mhm.
where it is
Yeah.
more, you know, structured like a full Mario game, as opposed to just these sort of little mini arenas that you get to run around in. But yeah, it's cute.
Okay.
Although I will say, holding it up, talking about more work than what I'm used to. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
it is uncomfortable.
because
Yeah.
you do have to hold the you know, you're playing with the Joy Cons attached, and because you have to hold the glasses up to your head. I would not complain if someone created some sort of device that lets me strap that thing to my head so I can play with the Joy Cons detached, so I don't
Yeah.
have to hold my arms up for 10 minutes or whatever while I play. So,
Sure.
but
Sure.
yeah, they're cute little bonus modes.
Cool.
So there you go.
All right.
Yeah. That's what I've been playing. I've also been playing some more Picross S3,
Yeah, me too.
but
Well,
you
of
know,
course.
it's Picross. Of course I'm
Yeah.
playing it. But
Yeah.
that's it.
All right. Well, my favorite video
Here it
game of
comes.
2018
Yeah, boy.
got an update on Tuesday last week.
Yeah.
Of course, talking about Sea of Thieves. They had their anniversary update, and what they basically have done is made a sequel in less than a year to Sea of Thieves, using most of the same world, but adding a ton of stuff to it and really expanding things out. So, a lot of the early complaints were that the game lacked any kind of narrative or story to guide you through things. Rare has added basically like a 10-hour plus story to
That's
Sea of
cool.
Thieves.
Mm.
There are 9 chapters in there that you can do almost in any order that you want to. You can do them solo. You can do them in a group. You can you don't have to run through them all at once. You can take your time with it. And so basically, yeah, this 9 chapter thing will probably take you much longer than 10 hours to complete. And if you want the legendary versions of the commendations for completing those, you have to do each one like 5 times. And
Never.
the thing about that is that each one is not necessarily going to send you to the same islands or places each time. So if you repeat a mission, it may take you to a totally different place, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
You get like these quest books and special items and things, and there are cutscenes and real voice acting now. Like before, all of the voice acting in the game was just the dev team doing voices of shopkeepers and NPCs and stuff. They hired real voice actors now. They have real cutscenes that are in universe. So it's still a share world game. As the cutscenes play, you can move around, and other crews can interrupt as you do these things, and as you do the story missions. Any crew can like come up to you and take your quest items or like interfere with
No.
things, and
I'm less
so
excited now.
well, yeah, that's why I'm saying you don't necessarily want to do these solo. You want to at least have a crew with you so that you don't get your stuff stolen. They also added fishing to the game, so a very Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time style fishing mini game that you can do off of the boat or basically anywhere in the world where there's water. And they have 50 different kinds of fish that you can catch and turn in for money. They added a completely new faction in the game that you can level up to level 50 just by catching fish. So that's cool.
What level is your fisherman character at now?
62.
I'm like level 10. I'm level 10 at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a cool little addition to the game. You can cook food now as well. So and it regenerates some health. So before there were only bananas as a health restorative item. Now there's anything that gives you meat, which can be snakes, pigs, chickens, krakens, megalodons, sharks. Not humans.
Human.
But you can cook this stuff, and then it gives you a larger percentage of health back. Plus, some of the meat after you've cooked it will actually give you extra health, so that if your health gets depleted a little bit after a few seconds, it will give you automatic health regeneration. So that's cool. They've added a completely new multiplayer mode, the arena, where it's right now it's all 4-player ships, so up to 5 4-player crews basically have all the same treasure maps in a small section of the map, and you have to go for the treasure chests that are marked on those maps or battle other galleons. And it's sort of a 24-minute, very condensed Sea of Thieves experience where there's a lot of PvP, and it's so far been super fun to just see how that whole mode has worked out. But they've added basically like a whole sequel's worth of content to Sea of Thieves, and they've revamped the tutorial and all this other stuff. And now if you buy it, it's called Sea of Thieves Anniversary Edition, and it gives you like 10,000 gold up front to spend. And it's like they've pushed a sequel in less than a year, and that's not even counting all of the updates that Rare has made over the last year, which have been great to play. And so of course I'm loving it. Playing a lot of it.
You should be,
of course. And it's just really great to see that Microsoft
cares about people.
Was behind this game after it got not so great reviews on launch, that they've stuck with it, and they've let Rare put this stuff into the game. It really has fleshed out everything about the Sea of Thieves experience, and it's pretty fantastic. So I don't suppose that, Phil, you will give it another shot. But
TBD.
TBD, I suppose.
Who's got TB? What?
But you should if you haven't played it in a while, because it's really got a lot of great updates to it. So
I'm gonna play it again for sure.
You should. We should play.
I'm very close to my quarterly hour or two of Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
So.
But like some of the story missions have a very Indiana Jones or Goonies-esque feel to the puzzles that you get, and you get special quest items as well. And it's a totally different experience than the Sea of Thieves voyages have been over the last year, and it's all for the better. So, I'm really enjoying that. Anyway, that's all I've been playing the whole week. So, I think we should get into tweets.
Tweedly diddly dee. Tweedly diddly tweet. Tweet. Tweet tweet.
Yes, indeed. So hacker alias P.O. Rowe says, do you think a lower price point on new games would increase sales or just reduce revenue for publishers?
Who knows? I know I'd be happy about it.
This is a hard thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is
the price of video games, right? Because I feel like it's not about reducing the price of new games, especially on the AAA side. Games are very expensive to make. And I think a lot of large publishers have reacted to that by creating space on the other side of $60 or $70 by introducing, special downloadable content or things that you pay extra for, while also trying to capture budget conscious people on the other side of that who will only pay like $30 for a game, and trying to have those people get their lower price and then maybe also paying for DLC. So I don't know. I think it would reduce revenue for AAA publishers for sure.
I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe it might be time to start looking at maybe not having a standard price for these games across platform. Kind of looking back at like what Sega did. I think it was Sega. I don't know if they still own 2K at the time or not, with the their 2K support, their NFL 2K game years ago.
Right.
Where they released it. What was it? $20?
It was $20
to fight against Madden.
Yeah.
Clearly, licensed support. Well, didn't it?
Well,
I think it did. But then suddenly EA had the exclusive rights to the NFL.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to see if it would work.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
but I remember it being very well received. I don't know what the financials of that work, because I mean, a licensed sports game is really expensive to make. Obviously, you got to buy all those. You got to pay the NFL, you got to pay the NFLPA. Generally, have to pay for all the different sponsorships and blah 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 blah. But they wouldn't have done it if they didn't think they could survive.
Sure.
Well,
and I think the replacement on that is, things like Game Pass for Microsoft first party stuff. Certainly.
Sure. Yeah. I think the bigger thing for me is that AAA games right now, the tendency is we need to have, hundreds of hours of content.
Because it's an expectation.
Every
player
game,
expectation.
It is. That's the thing. Every game is this gigantic risk now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of where things started to fall apart. Especially, I seem to remember thinking this back when World of Warcraft was big, because suddenly everybody was doing an MMO and everybody lost their shirts doing an MMO. Yep. And that seems to be where the narrative of, well, games are really expensive to make started to happen. And then you started to see credits, like, when you get to the end of a game and you see the credits run and there's like 500 names on the list.
Yeah.
Or the story of, what was it, Tomb Raider, not Anniversary, but the latest reboot of Tomb Raider, selling great numbers in the millions, and then immediately having Square Enix come out and say didn't sell enough.
Right.
Really? Like,
it was great numbers, but not up to their expectations.
Right. If your business model requires that you sell an unreasonable or unrealistic amount of copies of your game, then I think your business model is broken. That being said, I mean, you look at something like Fortnite, clearly they've got it figured out. Now they're apparently working their developers like dogs.
Sure.
Which is not okay, but they're making insane amounts of money. So, I mean, that business model does work if you hit.
Yeah, I feel like, we have this conversation sometimes around the holiday season, where if you wait long enough, the video game that you want is going to be half price or lower. I mean, it happened very quickly to some of those November releases because of the holidays, right? They wanted to get those people in the door earlier rather than later. So things like Fallout 76 were half off within a week of release because of the time of year that they came out, right? But I think if you are the type of person that can wait a month or more for your games, sometimes you're even going to be better off because the day one patch or subsequent patches have come out that have improved things from release day, right? Like, what is that? Mortal Kombat 11 just recently had like a complete
the balancing was all screwed
rebalance patch. Yeah. Like, so I think day one purchasing is a lot different now. I do think, though, and we've talked about this on the show as well, like the space between indie and AAA is for the most part gone. Like, you don't see that sort of mid-tier game anymore.
Yeah, the B-tier games are gone.
The B-tier that AAA publishers used to take chances on,
yes,
don't really happen anymore. And I'd really like to see that come back.
And that's kind of my thing. That's kind of what I'm getting at too. It's like
at the lower price tier,
clearly,
like $39 and less.
Clearly, like that's the thing. Clearly, this business model works. Clearly, that's what they're going for. And I mean, sure, you want to reach, you want to maximize profits, and you got to spend that money. But yeah, I think to me that's my biggest problem. Is I lament the loss of that sort of B tier game. Yeah. And I feel like it can't exist partially because of the price point, because then you're immediately compared to these games that offer hundreds of hours of content because they're the exact same price point. And I mean, microtransactions notwithstanding, because when you're standing there looking at two games on a shelf or in a digital storefront, all that really comes through is they're both $60. Right. So I feel like, if people could maybe we release some of this stuff at a lower price point, maybe that works. I really don't know. I don't know the finances of it.
To me, we could start seeing that if we see some games out at that price point that have some success. And I don't feel like we've seen that yet.
Well, Well, it's like your best friend Mike just posted in the chat there. We were talking about NFL 2K5 on Wikipedia. According to Electronic Arts, that it's seriously cut into Madden sales.
Yeah,
it scared the hell out. So I mean, that was to me was sort of as close as we got to kind of like a free market pricing battle on new games.
Yeah.
That game wasn't heavily discounted. That was the MSRP.
Well, I wonder if it'll change too when games go more digital, because obviously with the physical product, a publisher has to pay not only to have the thing manufactured, but a license fee to first party. So that kind of changes the equation depending on what the budget of the game is.
We've talked about that before too, is that I've always been a little bit bummed that we haven't seen the
Variable
savings we were
pricing on
supposed to
digital.
see
Yeah.
because we went all digital, right? Like,
Yeah.
I still think digital. I know why digital games aren't priced lower. A, because they're probably not charging as much as they should anyway when you consider the amount of risk they're taking on these games.
Sure.
And B, they don't want to piss off their
But I do think
partners.
Eventually, over time, you do see discounts in some of those games that make it worth it, right?
Yeah, but I
Like
don't think that's a viable solution.
Well,
because that means you're waiting
not.
for it not to sell well enough that they have to drastically discount it.
What I think it more likely is wanting to capture the people who are going to pay $40 at that price point, and then waiting to capture the people who will pay less than that at other times.
I feel like games as a service, though, in general, has killed that because
it may have. Yeah,
I feel like people our age who are helpless nerds and decided they needed to buy everything at one point have massive backlogs of games that they haven't played, right? That they either eventually try to get to, or and I mean, I'm looking at your shelf back there, CJ, or
don't look,
or they just don't play, and then they go to their grave with them, or they finally get rid of them all. Right. I feel like the backlog for younger players has now been replaced by this sense that they need to be there day one, because like you look at Fortnite as an example, if you weren't playing from the start, you missed.
Yeah,
sure.
You don't get to experience Fortnite as it has been, you know what I mean, as the product it is. Right. If you jump in for the first time now, you've missed the previous seasons, and there's no way to go back and experience those previous seasons.
Right.
So the backlog's been replaced by this need to be there day one. So I feel like that model you're talking about doesn't really work when you're talking about service games, at least.
That's just my feeling. You're right. You're right about that. Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, that Fortnite's also free, so
Fortnite is free, right?
Cheers.
And making money off of microtransactions. All right. Let's do this one from Martez 3C, who says, it's alarming the trophy percentage rate based on basic player achievements. A small rate of gamers are finishing the whole game nowadays. How do you think this will affect the game production / quality on generations to come? Thanks for bringing the best VG podcast every week. Well, thank you for listening.
Oh,
geez.
First of all, yeah, one of the things I really enjoy doing is looking at the percentage. And this is available on not just PlayStation, but on Xbox as well. And it's a little skewed when you look at games that are available on PlayStation Plus or Game Pass, because they count that population in. But yeah, like on PlayStation 4, I'm always interested in like what percentage of players have gotten like the first achievements that you get in a game. And it's sometimes shockingly low.
Just bought it for the review bomb.
Exactly. But I mean, it just goes to show, like, sometimes people don't play too far into the games that they've purchased, or certainly not all the way to the end. Yeah.
I mean, I think it goes back to honestly what I've just been saying. I think the younger generation of player, for the most part, are becoming more and more service game people. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying all of them, but
and sometimes it's not about finishing
the
game all the way to the end. It's just about the amount of entertainment that the thing is providing you now or this week or whatever.
I think you might see more and more if the trophy system is still a thing, you'll see more and more trophies being based more on the amount of time played or
really? You think?
I think so. Yeah. Or, like like I'm looking at, I was playing F1 this week, and there's a whole group of trophies that I will never get in that game because it's like you've competed in 50 online races, you've competed like that sort of thing, or you've had 10 wins online, you've come from the back to the front, like that's sort of, I won't ever play that game online, but that seems more along the lines of the types of trophies and achievements we'll see more of coming forward.
Right.
Nobody does anybody care about trophies anymore?
I don't.
I can't say I do.
I stopped caring about that stuff a while back.
Years ago.
I mean, remember when they were such this cool marketing thing where I know I definitely tried out different things in like different modes of a game I would never try just to get the achievement.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But now, like, for instance, Sea of Thieves added 1,000 more points and a bunch more achievements with this update. And there are things like play 500 arena matches or win 500 arena matches. It's like, I'm probably never going to get that achievement.
Really?
And I'm okay with that.
You're not?
And who the hell will?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like they're as big a draw as they once were.
Yeah.
They are to some people, though. Some people really care about them. Their whole website's devoted to like how to get all of the achievements in whatever game the fastest.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen those before. But I guess what I'm saying is I feel like I know fewer people now who do that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Than used to.
I agree. Yeah. All right, let's do this one from Hacker Alias Dancing Solo, who says, have you guys been listening to GameScoop lately? They've been reading old issues of EGM during your time and commenting. Any thoughts on it? So
I think we should recruit our listeners to listen to make sure they don't say anything nasty about us.
Well, they don't say anything about us personally. The one they did this last episode was the EGM Buyer's Guide for 1998, which Phil, did you write a lot of summaries for there was one point where you were freelanced and you wrote all the game summaries for one of these buyer's guides.
Oh, just like where it was just like the 1 or 2 sentence descriptions.
Yeah, with the review scores.
Yeah, I don't know what year it was, but I did do one of those one year.
And I think even if I remember correctly, you put a hidden message to Dana.
I did. I did. I
remember that.
There was
I don't remember what year it was, but
yeah. There was a stretch of little review synopses where if you took the first letter
out of each one,
it spelled like Phil loves Dana or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I also remember there was a blurb for the PS1 game Philosoma.
Yeah.
Where that game?
Yeah. Where I just the blurb was just like, well, this is an awesome game. Anyone named Phil is awesome. Or something stupid like that.
Wow.
Because I will say this.
No one was reading those?
Well, no one was reading those. Clearly nobody in charge of the magazine was reading them either. I do remember Dan Shu recruited me to do that.
Yep.
And he paid me criminally low. I forget it, it was like a couple $100 maybe for hours and hours and countless hours. It was the what he paid me versus the amount of time I spent doing that was just it was criminal.
Well, that was
how little I was being paid.
That was games media
in general.
Freelance in general.
Yeah. No, it was disgusting. Also, I had to use my my personal collection of EGM magazines to go through and get those review scores.
Messed up.
Yeah,
that is messed up.
Because it was like, you have all the issues of EGM, right, Phil? Yeah, I do. Okay, good. You can do this.
You do this.
We're gonna do you're gonna do this, and we're gonna pay you absolutely nothing to do it. So
dance monkey.
Yeah. The funny thing about GameScoop, and they do these sort of look backs on old EGM issues fairly frequently, and sometimes they don't realize like they'll make fun of something as being not real when it was real.
Yeah, that was this single experience I've had with them because somebody pointed it out to me when they were talking about Quarterman in an issue, and they were talking about the Neptune and I believe the Wonder Mega.
Oh, the Wonder Mega.
Or
They
the
said,
XI.
"What's the Wonder
And
Mega?"
they're sitting there and
never
just
existed.
yeah, and just speaking, as subject matter experts about how that's crazy that JVC hybrid thing never happened. Who the hell would do something like that? And it's like, well, it does. And it's just like there was in that like 30-second clip. I forget who it was. There were a couple of them. They were just like laughing and going on about like, wow, man, Quarterman just made shit up, which wasn't untrue. Quarterman did just make some stuff up.
Wasn't always untrue,
but didn't necessarily definitely didn't make these rumors up.
Right. Hadn't made the XI.
And it was just like, well, guys, come on, like do a little research, like be right at least,
In the latest one, they were sort of riffing on the GX TV. You remember the GX TV?
Oh man, I remember the big speakers that swung out.
Yeah.
Speakers that swung out, and it was a gaming television set.
I love those things. I wish I had
laughing about how that was the thing, and it's like that was a real thing, and it was a pretty good TV to play games on back in the day.
And you consider like a teenager in a small bedroom. Those things were perfect.
Yeah.
Nice and compact.
And we had some at the office, and they were good TVs to play games on. So
they can't possibly be. I have giant flat screen TVs now.
Now, I will say, as we do the review game that we sometimes do on our after show, our patron only after show, there are bad things about old EGM. Certainly.
Oh, hey, mine ain't just
things
another
to laugh
game.
about. Things to laugh about. But some of the things being laughed about were like the JVC Wonder Mega. That was real.
Yeah, I have one
was
in the
real, and
there.
the GX TV was real, and people bought PlayStation branded 3D televisions not too long ago. Like
single-handed RPG controller for the PlayStation 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll have one of those. It's a different time, man.
I mean, it's always interesting to hear other people's opinions about EGM from the era that we were working there. We did an episode where there was a guy on Twitter like going through old issues of EGM and kind of pointing out interesting things. And we did an interview with him in a previous episode of Player One, and that was really interesting. And I don't feel like it was laughing at the content so much, although
I think if
some
anything,
of those things like gaming babes and nude codes and
that's
things,
what I was just about
can
to
be
say.
laughed at.
That's what I was just about to say. Like I look back on the stuff and I mean my era of EGM is sort of the latter half of yours, CJ. But I think for the most part the quality holds up. The only thing I think that if you look back at our stuff now, the only really cringeworthy stuff in there is we were very much trying to do the lad mag thing.
Yeah.
And I mean that was mandated. And it made sense for the time because lad mags were huge.
Everyone was buying. Everyone wanted to be Maxim.
So
everybody did.
I mean, I read some of that stuff now and I definitely cringe, but overall,
like the sexiest gamer, and it's like,
but overall, I feel like a lot of the stuff still holds up. I think there's definitely the quality bar was higher then than it was, say, the early 90s.
Right.
It
got better.
Yeah.
Had some cringy stuff in it for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's do one more.
Okay.
Let's finish up with this one from Hackeralius MLS Reserves, who says, "What do each of you think your personal gaming biases are? That is to say, in what areas of gaming do you think you lack objectivity and why? Did these
CJ and Nintendo?"
I was gonna say, you nailed it pretty much.
Yeah.
Do these biases help you enjoy certain things or take away enjoyment from others? I certainly like Nintendo's software. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there was a time where when Sega first went third party, I would give anything that they did a shot. And luckily back then, when they first went third party, most of it was pretty high quality. But I'm not really like that anymore. I don't really look at look for that name anymore.
Yeah.
I think I don't give service games much of a chance,
Yeah.
and it's not because I'm opposed to them so much. It has more to do with it's based on the time that I feel like I can give them. Like talking about Fortnite earlier.
Right.
I feel like I would have if I was a Fortnite player, I would have so missed out on some of the coolest stuff in Fortnite just
Mhm.
because
Right.
my schedule doesn't allow me to be there and be active as much
Right.
as I would need to be.
Right.
So I kind of paint all service games with that brush
Mhm.
and just don't really bother with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a lot of times I will just gloss over a game just based on like its look or its theme. Like if a game has kind of like a modern military kind of
Oh.
look to it, or
Oh,
any
Yeah.
or any
Yeah.
sort of like heavy military look to it, it might as well not exist
I
in my
agree with
head,
that.
you know?
I
I'm the
remember
same way, that and
And
like any
and
sort of
and they may be
mafia
good games.
game or
Yeah. Like, like Call of Duty or Gears of War, anything where it's just like dudes with guns
yeah.
being
and that
dudes
became
with guns.
so prevalent in the
Yeah.
mid 2000s. Oh my god, everything
Yeah.
was a brown military shooter.
Yeah.
Like,
And
Yeah.
yeah, they all blur into one
I'm with
massive
you on
I'm
that.
not interested in it. So,
Although I
Well, and
remember,
JRPGs for some of that now, like
yeah,
yeah.
some of those.
with the military games though, I remember being pleasantly surprised by Spec Ops: The Line.
Well, you
Which,
know
Oh
what?
yeah.
And that one, I have that on Steam, and I keep meaning to play it at some point because I have heard nothing but outstanding
see, but
things about it.
going into it with that bias, which I totally understand because
Right.
I have the exact same bias, and I
Right.
did, which is why it took me forever to play it the first time.
Yeah.
Going into it, even like I just looked up the cover to make sure I had the name right, and I'm looking at the
Right.
covers like that's not something I would play.
Well, yeah,
Right.
that's
And then when you first start playing it, it's just a military shooter, and
right.
it's
Right.
it's actually not really a very good one.
Right.
But yeah, like it was a pleasant surprise because I forget who it was who was pushing me, but it was just like, no, you've got to play it. Like, just keep
Yeah.
pushing through.
Rich Christian.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It
Like
might have been Rich
I
Christian.
like it kind of like, and I hear that it kind of subverts a lot of that stuff, and there's some sort of like interesting narrative
Yep.
thing going on
Yeah,
in
Well,
it.
there is.
Titanfall 2 kind of falls into the same category where
Yeah.
I feel like people didn't give that a shot, and it's like one of the best single player shooter campaigns I've ever played. It's
Really?
so good.
Yeah.
It's available for like less
Super
than
cheap.
$5
Yeah.
now
Mm.
on a regular basis, and people
Yeah.
still haven't played it. Oh well. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to go back to service games for a second here, Greg, because I feel like there probably is a service game out there that you will play and you will go back to. I feel like GT Sport is kind of trying to be that in a lot of ways.
Mm.
Like I see updates to Gran Turismo Sport like pretty often, and I don't know if you've gone back and played
It's
any
funny.
of that content.
I have, but honestly, I feel like GT Sport has turned more into just sort of the GT series because like Gran Turismo 5 and 6 were two of the most well supported games that nobody talks about. They were, especially, I
Yeah.
think it was 6, they were adding a ton of content to those games right up to the end.
Yeah.
With special events and everything. And I feel like with GT Sport kind of started out like that, like started out being like, well, it's it's FIA sanctioned, and the whole idea is that you're playing online all the time. They made the single player version mode in that game much more robust pretty fast.
Yeah.
When you
Even
go
now,
in,
like in the last week, they pushed out an update to GT
they
Sport with
are
a ton
updating
of
that
new
game
content.
constantly. Yeah, and it's
But I feel like
it's a great- nobody talks about it.
nobody talks about that. And
No.
I feel like that is the way with a lot of games that are consistently updated. People just like lose track of them. And I
But
think
the thing
Sea of-
is that
Sea of
they
Thieves
have-
is one where that happened. I think
Right.
GT Sport that happened. State of Decay, I think that happened. There are a lot of games that can have fairly robust communities even for them, and a lot of players that play that no one's talking about.
No,
Mm.
that's just it though. I think they have core group of players that
yeah.
that those things are for. But yeah, I do go back and play GT Sport every now and then, and paid attention to like the World Championships, which happened right after I think I said on this show that I can't sit and watch esports because I find them boring.
Right.
Totally in love
I
with
feel
watching
like with
those races,
service
but
games also, you have to be the type of player that says, okay, if I'm not going to have a lot of time to devote to this thing, I'm just not going to experience all the content. And
Yep.
if you're not the type of person that's comfortable with that, then you're not going to be a service games person.
And I think it's for me, and I don't know if all three of us are this way, but I feel like people closer to our age probably are, who grew up on like NES and things like that. I'm hardwired to want to finish the game.
Right.
And a lot of these games, it's not possible to finish. Right. So I want the beginning, middle, and end, and then move on to the next game. And I feel like when I get stuck playing the same game week after week after week, I'm missing out on other things that I want to be experiencing.
I kind of find that to be true, but I guess it's because I was a fan of Rock Band, where they added a bunch of content, did a lot of things, and there's no ending to that game, obviously.
Well, look at you in Sea of Thieves.
Well, yeah, and then Sea of Thieves. Yeah, I feel like those are games I can come back to and play anytime, and play other stuff in between, and not necessarily feel like I'm missing anything.
Right.
So, all right. Anyway, just wanted to add that at the end. Now we can do the outro and be done with this. Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitters, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Seward.
Started working on a new one this weekend.
Ooh, nice. You'll find Generation 16 episodes.
Yeah. Almost have this episode roughed out. Just a little bit more work on that.
Cool. You'll also find show notes and links to the things that we talked about in this episode, including a link to our Discord server where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by loading up the Apple Podcast application. You can also head over to the App Store and invest $1.99
cheap
to pick up the Player One Podcast iPhone application. It gives you one touch communication with us via the emails, the Twitters, the what have you. You also have all of our episodes ready to stream right to your listening device. And hey, Android cell phone, telephone users, the Player One Podcast iPhone application is available for your listening device as well for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
It's right over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace. We're also on Stitcher Radio. You can like us on Facebook. We are on Spotify. You can watch archives of our show or check us out live most weeks on the youtubes.com/P1 podcast. Follow our Twitter account to find out when we'll be doing our next live show. Hey, and if you like what you've heard, and how could you can head over to patreon.com/P1 podcast. You can throw a few shekels our way. It keeps CJ stock full of tickets to go see the latest video game movie adaptation.
No.
He needs plenty of them. He also has been saving up to buy he's saving up to buy the 4K Blu-ray release of the Mike Myers Cat in the Hat. So help him reach that lofty goal, please.
I still have never seen that movie.
I don't believe that for a second. And if you are a Patreon supporter of the $5 tier, you get access to an exclusive after show that we do every week. We were talking about that a little while earlier. We play some games, we have fun, we be dorks at each other. It's a blast and a half. So Indeed. Tune in, won't you, Patreon friends? Hey, if you have a couple bucks left over, you probably can't head over to generation-16.com. Nope.
Still not.
Just go to patreon.com/generation16. Where you can help support Greg Seward outstanding, but sadly website-less web series about North America's favorite second banana. About as frustrating as being a Sega executive during the 16-bit era, knowing that it's a long uphill battle. But It's a wonderful, wonderful web series. Generation 16.
Thanks, Phil.
You're welcome.
I think.
Yeah, sure. CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil.
Gregory.
Yo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil.
You know what? Don't patronize me.
Sorry, I was reading something in
No,
the chat.
you know what? If you got to think about it that hard, I don't need it.
CJ's best friend Mike was talking about donors at the $1,500 level. CJ's been hiding any donors we have at the $1,500 level.
Yeah, that's suspicious.
We need to talk, CJ.
Yeah,
I don't think we have any of those.
Yeah. How
no.
convenient.
All we need is one
a week.
Right.
Yeah. I guess we'll see everyone next week.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Toodaloo.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, I gotta hit stop broadcast.
You gotta hit the
There you
stop
go.
broadcast.